yes, it's the month of May, but it's never too early to talk a little Florida, Miami in the month of September. This is going to be one of those games that I think not just shapes each team's outlook the rest of the season. I think this could be one of those games that potentially shakes the college football playoff race up a little bit. We'll talk about it right now. Before we do, though, make sure you are subscribed. You're a Florida fan, you're a Miami fan. We will have a prediction for you on this game here in the not too distant future with college football season right around the corner. But if you want to get that game prediction, make sure you're locked in. The best way to be locked in, by subscribing. So in this game now, it's very interesting. Both of these quarterbacks, DJ Lagway and Carson Beck, both missing spring practice. Now, you hate to see it. Never a good thing. But if you're Carson Beck, you're missing spring practice in a system that you are new to. Like, yes, you can do the walkthroughs and you can sit through meetings, but until you actually do it on the field, it's very, very difficult for that whole thing to become second nature to you. Now, I do understand he gets fall camp, so we'll see how he's up to speed. It's interesting in this game. The quarterback duel of DJ Lagway and Carson Beck is, I think, even more heavily weighted than it would be in other games, because for both these teams, the quarterback is plan A. Not to say you don't have a plan B. I think Miami's done a great job stacking that running back room. I think that Florida's done a great job stacking the line of scrimmage. But you would like to win because of DJ Lagway, because of Carson Beck. So if either one kind of stutters out of the gate and the other side starts to get a leg up and starts rolling and maybe the other quarterback has to play at a deficit, that would not be the kind of game you want to play for either side. That's kind of a no-dust statement, but hand in hand with that, both of these teams have different position groupings that need some revamping. Florida took it upon themselves to revamp their wide receiver room, having lost 1,500 yards of production from Elijah Badger and Shamir Dike. And Miami's defense, man, like Mario Cristobal came on this very show and told us, y'all, we got exposed. In the secondary, essentially he told us we were not that great. And everyone that watched college football last year in Coral Gables understood they were not that great. So what do? You revamp not just the secondary, you revamp the staff as well. Which side of this is further along in their revamping? Because Florida, they're going to probably play some freshmen here. If you saw Dallas Wilson at the spring game in Gainesville, he did essentially whatever he wanted in that spring game. How much of an impact does he have? Along with J. Michael Sturdivant, along with Eugene Wilson. There's a lot of guys here that you expect to do some good things, but you're hoping Eugene Wilson can stay healthy. You're hoping the freshmen can get rolling. You're hoping that J. Michael Sturdivant is as advertised as he was during spring practice as he is in this game. And for Miami, you're just hoping you're better. You're hoping that you're at a spot now where you can actually have the Shannon Dawson offense not be an equalizer, but be a true edge for you in this game. And so for Florida, let's just say the wide receiving core is able to, do what you hope they're able to do and maximize DJ Lagway and you're scoring points, and Carson Beck stumbles out of the gate a little bit. Maybe it's just a thing where you're still early on in your time as the quarterback at Miami, and Florida's showing you some things that you hadn't seen before, and get into a spot now where you're in chase mode if you're Miami. You don't want to be in chase mode against a team with Florida that, speaking to the other punches they have in the bag, they could then put the ball on the ground with Jaden Baugh and just run the football. Is that what happens? I don't know, but that potential story arc I think is interesting. In the same vein now, let's say Miami says, Cam Ward, we appreciate you. We're not missing a beat without you. Now, that would surprise us all a little bit if Carson Beck picks up where Cam Ward left off. But even if it's a version of that, and you put Florida into a spot where, speaking of that revamped wide receiver room, the game's then on them and DJ Lagway to go chase a Shannon Dawson offense at home, an offense that was top 5 in America last year in yards per pass. That wouldn't be a situation you want to be in. So I think both of those story arcs hinge very much so on the Florida receiving core and the Miami secondary, ultimately that whole that new scheme they're working with there under Corey Heatherman. Now, Miami and Florida have the potential now to enter into this game with a loss. Miami opens up with Notre Dame rolling into town. Florida will have played at LSU before this game. So you could find yourself here, if you're Florida and or Miami, fighting for your playoff life, essentially. Not that 2 losses kicks you out, but for Miami last year, that was the story, right? Like, you had 2 losses and missed the college football playoff. You don't want to find yourself with 2 losses coming out of the month of September. Like, that would not be a world you want to live in. And the same thing for Florida. Find yourself with 2 losses. Oh, by the way, you still have to play Texas. Still have to play Georgia. Now, I think that Florida is unique in the sense that if they had enough go right around them in the college football world, 9-3, probably not feeling great about your playoff chances, but with how tough that schedule is, maybe you backdoor your way in. you don't want to live in the maybe on Selection Sunday. You don't want to be sitting there and say, oh, man, I hope we can get in with 3 losses. You'd like to only have 1 or maybe none if you're feeling a little bit extra optimistic if you're in Gainesville. So the bottom line here, the winner of this game will have a major bargaining chip for the college football playoff. It's not a conference game, so it's not impacting Miami and they're potentially making the ACC title and winning that and getting in. Same deal for Florida. But if you find yourself in a spot where you're on the outside looking in and we're talking about, okay, well, who has the best resume? Makes me feel a little bit sick even saying that here in the month of May. But you're talking about resumes for these teams. Say Miami's a 9-win team at the end of the year, 10-win team at the end of the year. You got to win over them. Same thing for Florida. It could be that feather that tips the scale for either side if they find themselves on the college football playoff bubble. And then past 2025, we say this a lot, but like the state of Florida, the high school recruiting in that state holds the key to not just conference championships for either side, but I think national championships. I mean, go ahead and ask Alabama how they built those teams under Nick Saban. A lot of dudes from the Sunshine State. If you're able to win this game, and we're assuming that Florida State isn't going to factor in and be a king of the state here in 2025, could happen, would surprise me. If Miami wins and Florida, with all the momentum they had this offseason, still couldn't get it done, still with DJ Lagway now going into his second year playing college football and how much they brought back and all that, you still couldn't beat Miami with a first-year starting quarterback, with a totally revitalized defense, new staff on defense, you still couldn't get it done, and Miami owns the state for 2 years in a row. I think high school recruits would say, okay, maybe this is just how it is now. Maybe the Sunshine State goes through the U. That's a nice pitch to make in living rooms, I'll say that much. On the flip side, if Florida wins, and you flip what last year's game was in Gainesville where Cam Ward walked in and took over, and you flip that game on its head and you win in Coral Gables, and you say, okay, yeah, there was that buildup. We've arrived now. Now, arriving probably looks like winning some more games on your schedule that are of, more in the October, November category. But if you can win the state and send that message loud and clear, you've heard a lot about us coming, we're finally here. That in itself would be a lot of rocket fuel on the Billy Napier experience in Gainesville, because we've talked about how they started at a deficit and they were neutral. Now they're trying to get to positive. It's all just talk until you actually put it into practice. They put it into practice at the end of last year. Last year you went 7-5. That's great. It's great given the schedule and given how tough it was. But I mean, nobody's throwing parties for you over there at the University of Florida for going 7-5. But if you break through, win the state, and then carry that momentum into the rest of the season and go do some good things throughout the rest of your schedule, then at that point we start talking about what Florida's going to be and what it means for recruiting. I think that in itself would speak volumes. Because I said 7-5, they finished just outside the top 10, did the Gators on the recruiting trail. What happens if you go win 9 games, 10 games? I digress. So we can't wait for this. Obviously, talking about a game that's going to happen in the month of September, during the month of May. If you're watching this, spoiler alert, you're a college football sicko. We love you. We appreciate you for that. So make sure you're subscribed. Cato on the ones and twos. For myself, JD Piquel, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.